do believe that global warming was an existential threat to humanity and rising carbon dioxide levels were causing it. Well, what would you do in response? Well, CO2 might come to mind. Don't trees consume huge amounts of CO2? Of course they do. How about we plant more trees all across the country? Seems like a natural solution with lots of upside. It might help, but it definitely won't enrich your donors. It won't pay for the cottage industry of climate change scientists, of university study programs, of massive government-funded research projects. No worse than that, trees are impossible to regulate once you plant them. They grow by themselves. They don't need your help. Trees definitely won't make you more powerful or more money. So how about this? Let's instead invest trillions of dollars of other people's money into the Green New Deal. That way, you have control over the entire U.S. economy. The Green New Deal is just socialism by another name. So right on cue with the far left agenda, here's Joe Biden at his overseas NATO trip.
We're working in lockstep to tackle climate crisis, in which you've been leaders on for a long time, and in order to literally preserve our planet. It's the only existential threat humanity faces, and we don't have a lot of time.
Whoa, hear that? Quote, we don't have a lot of time. In case you didn't get the point, President Joe Biden said it again at another event while at NATO.
We all must summon the common will to actually address the existential threat of accelerating climate change. It's real. It's serious. We don't have a lot of time. It is the single greatest threat to humanity.
That's funny. It's the single greatest threat to humanity, says the sitting president. Climate change is the only existential threat facing America. Here's America's climate czar, the made-up position they gave to John Kerry out of sympathy. Listen to how he explains it's all man-made, and that's Dem speak for it's your fault.
I just frankly don't understand why the opportunity of this crisis is not being seized more readily by everybody, because just as the climate crisis is man-made, it comes from emissions that we don't capture, that we don't do anything with. It is from emissions. Everybody knows this.
John Kerry doesn't actually care because he will fly around on his wife's private jet anyway and then have the audacity to claim, well, he doesn't own it.
I just don't agree with your facts, which began with the presentation of one of the most outrageously persistent lies that I hear, which is this private jet. We don't own a private jet. I don't own a private jet. I personally have never owned a private jet.
His wife owns the private jet, and he thinks the American people are fools. But the other 2024 presidential Democrat nominee, Robert Kennedy Jr., well, he's not fooled. He recently exposed all these frauds for what this green energy agenda is really about and explains it right here. It's all about government control.
This crisis is being used as a pretext for clamping down totalitarian controls the same way that the crisis was. And it's the same people, it's intelligence agencies, it's the World Economic Forum, it's the Billionaires Voice Club at Davos, and it's the same kind of cabal of people who will use every crisis to stratify society toward, greater power for the super rich and greater power for the military, greater power for the intelligence apparatus, and less power for everybody else.
Man, that makes so much more sense than Joe Biden. But this is the most important thing to take away from what RFK Jr. just said. It's greater power for the super rich, greater power for the intelligence apparatus, and less power for everybody else. Now that is the truest thing I've heard from a Democrat, maybe in a lifetime.